you guys enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test. Test.
Test.
Test. Test.
Hey there, and welcome back to segment number 3 of Convincing Idiots. I'm Millennial Nick, alongside Gen X Brian and Zennial Dean. And real quick, let me just take a quick, nice, smooth drag off of this Nerf dart I got in my hand.
Hey, you smoking a dart there, bud?
I'm smoking a dart there, bud. Having a dart.
All right.
Speaking of having a dart, we are going to discuss some of our favorite smoking scenes in TVs, shows, and movies. TVs and the movies. All the talkies. We are going to discuss our favorite smoking scenes in them. Sorry, boys. Been a minute. All right. So, Mount Rushmore, whatever have you, top whatever. Favorites. Favorite smoking scenes in film. Dean, you look the most ready with your authentic, very real pipe.
Why don't you
start us out? Yeah.
Not the kind of pipe you smoke, Nick, but it is still delightful.
You got some crack in there or what?
Yours has come. All right. So, I actually looked at this, guys, and I don't know that I could pick scenes. My.
Okay, so Dean's out. All right, Brian.
No. Mm-hmm. Listen. Okay, so for my number one,
Brian's already judging you. The criteria.
I'm going to go with Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke because they fucking smoked in every goddamn scene.
Sure,
That's fair.
So Up in Smoke in general,
classic.
It wasn't exactly cigarettes. May have been something we did at Doobie Brothers concert.
Yeah. Wacky tobacco cigarettes.
Wacky tobacco. The jazz cabbage, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is iconic. It is a hilarious movie. You want to be in that car with them.
Sure.
And if we're going to break it down to the scene, I can say that the scene in the car where they're, where it's bellowing out the sides and whatnot. So
sure.
Yeah. Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke.
Fantastic. Brian?
One of my favorite scenes of someone smoking of all time, James Bond. This is Dr. No, the very first James Bond movie. The first time you see Sean Connery ever as James Bond. They pan around he's in a casino. He's playing cards. See the tuxedo? They pan up at the. Are
you talking about the cigarette or because he was smoking?
Well, you know what? It's probably a little bit of both. But it's the young, handsome Sean Connery with a cigarette, and first time he utters the phrase, he introduces himself, Bond, James Bond. He has that cigarette. One of the coolest movie scenes in history, in my opinion. So the cigarette has kind of added that extra little bit of coolness to it.
And if you look at the time frame in the movie and the age of Brian. You did that in the mirror with the candy cigarette. The old candy cigarettes where they put the powder on it, where like they would actually puff out there. Young Brian did that scene, didn't he?
I definitely did have the candy and the bubblegum cigarettes as well. Now, the bubblegum ones had the powder that you could puff it and it would puff out. So all kids did that for sure.
Yep.
I also remember bubblegum cigars as well. You thought you were cool with a bubblegum cigar.
Fisher.
That's right.
Dropper, panty dropper.
That's right.
I don't need a fucking shirt that says that. I don't know what life is.
Nick, how about
you? So I'm going to start with one of my favorite smokers in all of film. Like Dean's, might not have been tobacco in there. It definitely wasn't. Would be Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski. My favorite scene is, he is sitting in the bathtub. He has a roach and a pair of tweezers. and he is smoking the dude is smoking that last little bit of that roach, hitting that. It's getting real hot, getting real close to it there. That is one of my favorite scenes. Just fucking hilarious. It's so funny of like how like that's just encapsulates who he is, in his little fucking apartment in his bathtub, and he's fucking smoking every little last bit of that roach. He's got tweezers because it's too small to touch. So fucking good. So the Big Lebowski scene of him smoking is on mine.
What it's called.
Yeah.
And the answer machine, he gets the message of, "We've recovered your car." He's just like, "Far out, man.
Yeah.
Far out.
That's far out."
Very good.
Yeah. Dean?
All right. Oddly enough, I'm going to stick with the Big Lebowski.
Mm-hmm.
Because as good as that scene is, the fucking scene where he's in the car and he drops when he's smoking the roach and he dropped in his pants and he ends up hitting the fucking dumpster because of it.
Yep, that's a good one.
Come on. Just where he's like fucking hitting his own dick and just because he don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
And just also the comedy, the comedic aspect of it is that it's so small, it's not going to burn him, but like he's freaking out. High.
Yeah.
He's freaking out that it's going to like burn everything down. He's just freaking out and he hits the dumpster. That to me, that scene is fucking gold.
I can probably count barely on one hand this week how many times I've been freaked out by something catching fire because I've been high and worried about like whether or not it's out.
Yep.
So I can relate. Yeah.
Yep.
Gen X Brian here from the Convincing Idiots podcast. If you're enjoying our show, tell a friend. And if you're not, well, tell two enemies.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you got?
One of my favorite scenes of the movie Animal House is when they're smoking pot with the professor at now the late great Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the professor's home, and Pinto, the character Pinto, it's his first time smoking weed. Just the whole thing around it. So everybody else has done it before, clearly, and he's nervous, doesn't know what to do. And it kind of harkens you back if you've ever smoked before, like the first time you've done it, you don't know what you're doing, whatever it was, and they played that scene perfectly. He's like, "I won't go schizo, will I?" Because there's a distinct possibility, and it's just shot perfectly. He reaches his hand out and grabs it.
Yeah,
and he takes it, and he's like, "Is this right?" And he covers his hand. He keeps the smoke in his mouth. It's just the whole thing is just a great, funny scene. There you go. That scene from Animal House.
Absolutely
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice.
Nikolai?
All right, I'm gonna use my Arnold free space here.
There you go.
So there are many Arnold smoking scenes. Most of his movies he is smoking a stogie in. So, which was by his own design, but none cooler than in Predator. When he is in the chopper and they're landing on the island and he's in the jungle there and he gets his bags out of the car and he's sitting back in the chopper and he's smoking his stogie and just getting ready to, get out on the island, get his boys out there, grab his stuff. Just fucking cool as shit, man. Just fucking awesome. But yeah, Arnold smokes in. I was like almost all of them, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And he worked that in. I think it was I was reading his autobiography and he was talking about how he's just always had the love for smoking the cigars and stuff, and he found a way to work it into most of his movies, and it's just worked for him. It's kind of become synonymous with him. And even in politics, he had the cigar tent where he would schmooze up people and stuff like that. And they would go down to the cigar. He had a tent down below his office where people would go in the cigar tent. They'd open up the humidor and have a cigar, and it kind of becomes synonymous with him. But the Predator one, this Predator scene specifically, is my Arnold pick.
Have you guys ever been to a cigar shop? Like a proper cigar shop or a cigar club, I guess they're called. There's one in Akron. I had to go do a sales call there. And dude, I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes. I love cigars. I have a fucking pipe. But I walked into there. Fuck, that's a different breed there. Like it's just a cloud of smoke and these guys sitting in lazy boys like, and there's ESPN or whatever on the TV, and they are just, you stink. You're in there 2 minutes, and you stink of. And again, it's. I love the smell of cigars, so it's not that bad, but it's
it
a little
clings to you
overwhelming
fast.
after a while.
Yeah.
That's something else.
I've not been to one. There's definitely, like I said, there's a couple around the Akron area, right by the pipe rack, actually.
I was going to say the pipe rack has a nice humidor in there
in the back
that you can sit in there. Yeah, and then like they've got the leather couches and stuff, the magazines. It's very cool. I mean, it's it's not like what you're describing, not quite that caliber, but it's still it's a cool place to hang out.
Yeah,
Nick, maybe we should do that tomorrow in a hot tub. What do you say?
Yeah, there we go. There we go. That'd be
All
cool.
right.
Yeah,
I like that. With some whiskey, maybe.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
You're pretty smart.
We should tell someone with a hot tub about it. Maybe we'll get a thing together.
We'll see what we can do. All right. My next step, Jesus Christ. Number 3 on my list.
number 3 of 12.
No, what are we doing? 5 here. Number 3.
Number 3. 12 steps of something else. Sorry, go ahead.
I probably need those too. But number 3 is when you think Star Wars, you probably don't think people smoking. I'm sure they probably tried to get around it, but God damn it, if there wasn't the coolest scene in Star Wars where Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were laying there as skeletons.
Wow.
I was thinking, I'm like, there is when like a clean cut's been made with a saber, I feel like you see like some smoke, right? I'm like,
oh, no.
Yeah, sir.
Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, when they were blasted or whatever, Luke comes back to discover them dead and the smoke rising off of their skeletons.
Yeah.
What a great fucking show.
Okay, yeah. You know what? This was, but just a quick spin off of that. This was not on my list, but when you said it, it spawned as I was trying to think of Star Wars smoking. Jabba has a little hookah pipe next to him.
Ooh, he does.
Yeah.
And
there was
there you go.
There was one in the cantina bar as well when when Ben killed the alien. The guy was at the bar smoking like a hookah thing.
One of the prequels, Obi-Wan's going to that shop and the girl asks him, "Do you want a death stick?" Or the guy asks him, "Do you want a death stick?" Those are cigarettes, essentially.
Sure.
They didn't actually smoke them, but it's the only other, type smoking. But Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
There you go. They were smoking.
They were smoking.
Sure were.
Right.
Let's see. Dan Aykroyd playing Ray Stantz in Ghostbusters. Love the scene when their first call. They're going around the hotel looking for the ghost, and Dan Aykroyd's got all the equipment on. He's got the cigarette hanging out of the side of his mouth.
Silly with it.
Yeah, he turns a corner and Slimer's there, and he's just standing there, and the cigarette is just barely hanging from his lip, and eventually drops.
Yeah, just touching on the lip at the bottom of the lip, and it falls. Yep.
Yeah,
very good.
Just a great scene with a cigarette. Another one in the same movie, actually. He's working on the car. He's smoking inside, working the car, and that's when Sigourney Weaver comes in at their first customer, and he turns around. He's got the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's all greasy and everything. But the scene with him hunting the ghost with a cigarette,
that's the best.
Great scene. Yep,
nice, 1,000%. Nikolai.
My next one is from Friends, and a specific one. So throughout the series of Friends, if you're familiar, Chandler Bing picked up smoking at a young age when his parents, divorced, and he has throughout the 10 seasons, at various points, he battles wanting to smoke and trying to not smoke. There is one specific episode though that is fantastic, and it is where Rachel, working one of her fashion designers, she's missing out on business opportunities because 2 coworkers go out on smoke breaks and she does not smoke. So she's gone down to the smoking pit to be, included in things. And in one scene at the very end of the episode, Chandler goes down to find Rachel, and when they're in the smoking pit, Rachel's boss is out in the smoking pit, and he comes looking for Rachel, and she goes, "Oh, she's upstairs. She quit." And she's standing there with the cigarette between her fingers, kind of off to the side. And Chandler, feeling the temptation as she holds it to the side, reaches his head over and takes a puff of her cigarette while it's in her fingers. And she looks back at him, and he's like, blows out the smoke. He's like, all right, see you guys later. And it's so brilliantly done. If you've never seen it, like, I couldn't even tell you which episode it is. I just know that it's, I don't know, within the first 5 seasons. That doesn't help you at all, but it's fucking phenomenal. Like, just the physical comedy, the way he delivers it, and just the fact of her holding it out and him like looking at it and making the decision to like lean in and take a puff off the cigarette, hoping she won't notice while it's in her, between her fingers.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry delivers it perfectly. It's just fantastic, and it's one of my favorite. Like, when you said smoking scenes, this was a category that I really had to think on. This did not come easily. I'm like,
Sure.
I can't even think of like smoking scenes. And then I just thought of Chandler like going in for the drag off of her cigarette. Yeah, Friends, the Chandler smoking scene. One. There's there's a few where he, kind of gives in a temptation, he's smoking, but that one where he just takes a quick drag off of hers while it's in her hand is fucking awesome. So Chandler from Friends.
Very good. All right. This movie, I don't know if you guys have seen it. Brian, it might have been one of those where you tried to get around to seeing it because really anybody who loves cinema should have seen this. Casablanca.
I did see it. Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the one you watched not that long ago. Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, when sitting at the bar. I get where cigarettes are bad. I mean, it's science, right? I get it. But you can't tell me to see Humphrey Bogart in that white tuxedo sitting at the bar, drinking a whiskey while holding the cigar or holding a cigarette in the same hand isn't the coolest goddamn thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart smoking throughout that movie, but that particular scene, sitting at the bar with his furrowed brow down at the whiskey, and he's pining, and yeah. To me, that is one of the coolest that's the coolest character, one of the coolest characters in film. But that's actually a pretty good one we should put on the list. Also, coolest.
That would be coolest character.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca. Rick Blaine was the character's name.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I love the Watchmen graphic novel that I've mentioned to you guys several times. They've put different graphic novels out there. They have made the actually, I forgot to mention this. There's a new animated limited series. It's like 2 movies parts that's based off the graphic novel that just dropped on Amazon. You have to rent it or buy it. I bought the first part. It's an hour and a half, and the second part comes out. Not exactly sure when, which is basically an accurate depiction of that graphic novel. However, in the live action movie, they made it 2009. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I enjoy as an actor.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, he
absolutely.
When he's on screen, he's fucking cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. So he played a one of the characters in the movie called the Comedian. He's just a real, asshole type character. But there was a scene where the character is depicted in Vietnam, walking through the fields with a flamethrower and just burning the shit out of whatever in front of him. But he has a cigar in his mouth. At one scene, he turns, it lights the cigar with the flamethrower, and it's lit, and it just keeps walking with that. Just that scene. It's a dark scene. He's a dark character, but just the fact that he lit the cigar with the flamethrower, pretty cool look with him as the comedian. There you go.
Nice. Good one. Next up, I have from one of the show's favorites, Christmas Vacation. I love the scene when Beverly D'Angelo's character Ellen is standing in the kitchen smoking a cigarette. Yeah, I smell smoke in there.
That one.
No, I was thinking Do it when,
Oh.
when she's in the kitchen and all the relatives are over and it's just like so fucking
Oh
much.
yeah.
And she just sneaks
Mhm.
off of the kitchen and she's fucking smoking a cigarette. She's having a
And
dart.
you
And she's like, do I smell smoke in there? And she's like, no. And like,
in that scene, you understand like her like frustration
yeah.
of like the whole fucking movie. You're like,
I'm
yeah,
sure we've all
I
felt
need a
that at
cigarette.
times in our lives where it's just,
Yeah.
it's a similar situation. It's you love them, they're your family. You're like, fuck, this is a lot.
I just
And
need
you're just like,
three
God
hits
damn
of
it,
a
I
fucking
just
cigarette.
need a fucking second. And she's just
Yeah.
having her moment. And as she's taking a drag off of that fucking dart, she's, do I smell
Clock,
smoke
go
in there?
get my stogies.
Yeah.
So are you
But,
smoking again? And she
yeah.
takes that. There was a head of cabbage or lettuce, and she just and just cuts it right in half.
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love that scene. It's just it
Yeah,
very
for
much it really encapsulates the entire energy of the movie in one scene.
And you
it being a
also,
smoking
in that character's eyes, it's that moment where she's a teenager again, like smoking in the bathroom
Right,
or in her bedroom by the window, and her mom, "Are you smoking?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. And very good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the cousin Eddie scene with the cigar when he's dumping the
Ooh, that's a good one.
into the. He's just like,
Yeah.
"Merry Christmas."
Yeah.
He's got the
Yeah.
cigar. Yeah,
Shitter's full.
Shitter's full.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's a good one too, actually. All right, go ahead, D.
All right. My last one I got here on my list. Is there anybody, and I mean actor and character, that can make smoking a cigarette cooler than Doc Holliday
Yeah.
in Tombstone? Now you could pick a lot of different scenes in that movie, but I'm talking about the one where he goes up on the hill to fight Johnny Ringo.
Yep.
And he comes out of the shadows where Johnny Ringo thinks it's supposed to be Wyatt Earp. But it's Doc Holliday, because like as he comes out of the shadow, the fucking smoke bellows around the shadow. The scene is shot perfectly.
Yes.
With the light, the sunlight behind him, and he comes out of the shadow. Fuck it. Is there any, again, going back to the coolness factor of we need to do,
that's up there.
Fuck, actually, in 2 weeks, I suggest we do that. Mount Rushmore. But Doc Holliday, Tombstone, on the hill before the fight with Johnny. Not only, but here's the thing: not just before, it's during and after. He doesn't lose his cigarette after shooting Johnny Ringo in the goddamn forehead.
Mm-hmm.
He ends it by taking a drag of that cigarette.
Yeah,
that's why that's last on my list.
You know what? That was my number. That was my number one too, Dean. That's the exact same scene. Yep. He lifts up his head. I'm your Huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo? You look like someone just walked over your grave. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
I need to watch that movie again. It's been a few months. I need to see it again.
Yeah,
a few months.
For sure.
Dude, that is my favorite movie. Like when you break it down to it, that is my favorite fucking movie. It's one of those where if it's on TNT or whatever, I'm stopping to watch it. Commercials and all. I own it on DVD. I fucking love that movie. So great.
So good. Yeah, great.
I mean, it's hard to watch it at 12. He didn't find it as captivating as I did, but
probably not.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
Well, so I will replace that one then with one of my honorable mentions. Then the scene in Pulp Fiction, Vincent Vega and Mia Wallace, when John Travolta is rolling the cigarette.
Yep.
And Mia's like, okay, roll one of these for me, cowboy. And he rolls her a cigarette as well. So that whole date scene beginning to sort of went haywire toward the end of it there. I just like that scene with them just, making a little connection there with him rolling his own cigarette before things got haywire on that date.
And there's something to be said about not only when he rolls it, but the licking of the cigarette, like it's a joint. Like he seals it up, like old school, and like with precision, and like he's done it millions of times.
Right. It's like I never thought about smoking, but that scene for a second, I'm like, that makes it look cool to roll your own
Yeah.
cigarettes. It's probably
Yep.
horrible for you,
Yeah.
of course. There's no
No one knows.
filter, I'm
of
sure.
course. All
You
of
know.
these, all of these are.
But
Let's
just
hey,
look
children, if
cool.
you're listening.
Yeah.
First of all, you got
Smoking's
bad
bad
parents that are letting
Smoking's
you
bad,
listen to
okay?
this podcast.
Yeah.
So
Nick?
My last one is not quite on the iconic level that your last two picks were, but by far it's one of the funnier ones on my list. In Orange County, featuring Colin Hanks and Jack Black. Have you guys seen?
I have not.
No.
Okay. Okay, so it's hard
Give
to
us a
explain.
picture.
But at the end of the day, they're trying to sneak. The whole thing is Colin Hanks is trying to get into Harvard. His parents are John Lithgow and Catherine O'Hara, and they're kind of their own.
First of all, I love
things.
the goddamn
It's
cast
a great,
already.
and Jack Black is
I'm
his stoner loser older brother. But he decides to go with him to help get his letter into Harvard and get it to the right people. All the while they're on the campus, Jack Black smooth talks one of the secretaries that's at the Harvard front desk, and they end up going and shacking up in one of the rooms in one of the dorms or one of the halls, and they smoke weed together after they get done, having sex, and they smoke weed together, and he flicks the joint, and it goes right in the trash can. And she's like, oh, man, they're all high and stuff. She's like, you should put that out, man. You should put that out. And he's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it catches the drapes on fire. And it just kind of slowly becomes more and more of an issue until it's out of control. And they're super high and can't do anything about it. All they can do is they're running out like naked, wrapped in like the rest of another curtain. And the whole fucking like historic building, one of these historic buildings at Harvard, is up in flames. And it happens so fast, but it's a very good movie. It's actually one of those ones. It came out in the early 2000s, and when I saw it at that time, I was middle school, late middle school, early high school, probably when I saw it, and I found it funny then. But it's funnier now. Like it's funnier to like go back and rewatch it as an adult. It's just better. There's things that
every actor you named I
but the
enjoy.
actors, they're fantastic. Like the whole movie is very, very good. So, but yeah, that scene with Jack Black in Orange County was very good. So, and that rounds it out for me.
There we go.
That's it.
Right.
Any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. I'll speed through this by going. One, I agree with you with Pulp Fiction, Brian, but I'm actually going to go very broad and go every fucking Quentin Tarantino movie. He makes smoking look cool.
Yeah.
Like every character he writes that is smoking in a scene, it makes them look cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other honorable mention is Al Pacino and Scarface with that cigar sitting in that with that tuxedo.
Yeah.
It's iconic, right? So those two, because I started going through my honorable mentions, and I'm like, that's where I realized I was picking all Quentin Tarantino movies. So I'm just lumping them all together. I'm saying Quentin Tarantino movies.
Sure. I have, and it is, Allie reminded me a couple of these here, so these are hers that I like as well. Really, any Clint Eastwood movie, any Western that he's in, like the Fistful of Dollars.
Fistful of
Dollars, a few dollars more, and the good, the bad, the ugly.
The squinted eyes and the cigar.
And he had just a small cigarillo, stubble thing. Every scene was just like grimacing with that thing on the corner of his mouth, flipping the poncho with the gun. They just took that character's look to a different level. She reminded me of the Addams Family when Morticia Addams would say, "Do you mind if I smoke?" And she would sit there and she would literally smoke would bellow out of her body underneath the chair. It was just kind of like a running gag on the series. Very good. And Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, the scene she's sitting in the chair,
of course,
smoking, and of course the legs crossing, uncrossing, but just the cigarette took that scene to a whole other level of coolness, sexiness, what have you. She just looked great in that scene. So that's my three.
All right, real quick
Nick?
before
go ahead.
Nick goes, I want to point out that as a smoker,
Mhm.
There is at least one point in your smoking life to where you have to hold a cigarette in your mouth and do something with your hands, and the smoke gets in your eyes, and you have to like squint. And for a moment there, you do picture yourself as the man
Clint
with no
Eastwood.
name, yeah,
Mhm.
in those movies. So
Yeah.
and you feel
Quentin
cool for
Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm.
Yeah, my
Nikolai.
honorable mentions are just things that I was coming up with until I found better ones. So I had like Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park because I'm like, he smoked in Jurassic Park. I remember
right.
that. That was a thing. And then because I just recently watched it, Detroit Rock City, as I've mentioned before, Oliver's on a huge Kiss kick. So we had a movie night the other night, and we watched Detroit Rock City. And there's a couple good scenes in it. The main one that I was thinking of is when they are all in the car and they pick up the disco girl. Brian, have you seen Detroit Rock City?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
A long time ago to the theater, actually.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Mhm.
So anyway, when they pick up the disco girl, and then they're debating over disco and rock, and everybody all the guys in the car are smoking weed and they're passing around. And as she leans back, you just see all the fucking smoke in the car, and she's just covered in it. And she starts misspeaking and saying dumb shit. She's like, "Give me some of that shit. It's some fucking kick-ass shit." Like it's like it's one of those scenes. And then also Jam's mom when she's dropping him off at the Catholic boarding school or whatever, and she's chain smoking like crazy and just chewing his ass out and putting cigarette after cigarette in this ashtray on her dashboard. But that was all I had. Those are, like I said, those are just kind of things that I had until I thought of things that I was like, oh, that's a better one. That's a better one. So, yeah,
Very good.
that is it,
All right.
gentlemen.
We did it,
205s in
boys.
the books.
Yep. Yeet.
We have done it. I'll just add quickly, get yourself a smoking hot tattoo at our friends Golden Heart Tattoos in Wadsworth. Give them a call, 234-706-2982.
That's right. I will be there next Thursday, as a matter of fact, and paying
What are you
them a
gonna
visit.
do?
But if you're not so much a fan of smoke, and perhaps you like a little bit more of an environmentally friendly approach, and you're looking for a way to get around, look no further than our friends at RPM Bike Shop. That's right. You can find them located in Carrollton, Ohio, not so far from here. They're on Facebook at RPM Bike Shop, or their website, rpmbikeshop.com, or give them a call, 330-808-7792 today. There's all the sponsors. Sponsors are taken care of. Everything's taken care of. The only thing that's not taken care of is you going to all of our social media accounts and being sure to support this show by liking, subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You might say to yourself, Nick, that sounds like a lot of work. Nay, it is not. It's quite simple, as a matter of fact. All you have to do is go to our link tree. Go ahead and Google Convincing Idiots, LANKTREE, and go like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow each one of those links to all the social media accounts. Please help support us. You can also find that information on our website, which is convincingidiots.wordpress.com. So, for this fantastical reunion episode of Convincing Idiots, I am Millennial Nick.
I'm the Zennial Dean.
And I am Gen X Brian in this location for the last time.
Oh my God, that hit me right in the soul. I didn't even realize that was a real reality until you said it. That's true. God damn. There's going to be a brand new set for you.
Mm-hmm. That's
Shit. Wow. Have we convinced you to come back and join us for another smoking episode of Convincing Idiots? Can't wait to see Brian's new backdrop.
I can't wait to see him naked.
That's right. He won't have his clothes unpacked by then, right?
I hope not.
Tune in next week and find out. There's the real teaser. That'll get you back. Nips.
Everybody, Gen X Brian with Millennial Nick and Zennial Dean. You know, we need more people besides Nick's mom watching us. Give us a like and subscribe.
honestly understand right now this week if I have had kidney stones or I hurt my back. Like it's in that spot where kidney stones are. But Brian, it's from the fall. Remember when I slipped on that blanket?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that old lady's Afghan that it was laying out on the wall?
Yes, remember when Megan and I were coming up, we both slipped and fell off the blanket. I saved my beer.
That.
She did not. Well,
I didn't see that.
All of us were. No, you were sitting there, Brian. You were way high.
$15 beer's gone.
I saved mine. Megan's was gone, and then she fell asleep where she landed. She does not remember seeing the Doobie Brothers.
No, I imagine that.
She slept there?
I imagine that.
Dude, she doesn't smoke. So yeah, when that girl came over, it was me, Brian, Megan, and Mike. Mm-hmm. She was middle-aged. Hell, not even middle-aged. She was probably younger than me.
She was 48. She had told us.
What? Oh, that's right. That's right.
And she was younger than you.
She had a big old fucking blunt, and we all passed it around way more than we should have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got lost. I had to go pee, and I went up, and this was completely dark. I went up.
Got lost.
Well, I didn't get lost, but I went up to go pee, and I turned. Like when I was done, I came back. I have an idea of where we would be, so I just stood there and like, well, I guess I'll stand here until the concert's over, and then they'll find me.
No.
But luckily, within like 45 minutes, Megan and her mom comes up to go pee. And I'm like, oh, good. And they led me back to the place.
Yeah. That's how I got for a minute at the Hootie and the Blowfish concert. We ran into Megan, Gwen, and Josh. And Josh had his fucking weed. And I was like, whoa, dude. That's like something different than what I smoke. And I was like sitting there for a minute. And I'm like, shit, we have to figure this out.
Dude, when I was talking about
this shit is it.
When I was talking about earlier, when I was sitting Indian style, rocking back and forth, Megan was sleeping like next to my knee, and I just I don't honestly have no clue how long that lasted, but I just remember rocking, smiling, bopping up and down like a child to the music, loving it. I was just having the greatest time by myself in a fucking zone. It was amazing. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it seemed like an hour, but I had no clue how long it was. Before I know it, the fucking encore happened, and I'm like, it was done. I'm like, what's next? And everybody starts getting up. I'm like, oh, I guess it's done.
What is a song by the Doobie Brothers that like is popular? What would I know? What
China Grove.
China Grove. Sing it. How does it go? Is that the one? Is that like the big popular one?
That was the finale, right?
I probably no.
Trying to remember that. I was very, very high.
It was that's it. China Grove, yeah. I don't know.
But you would know many of their songs.
Okay,
it's one of those bands. It's one of those bands.
Because it's like I know the name of them, but I'm like, I don't. That's how it was for the Grateful Dead for a long time. I was like, everyone knows who the fuck Grateful Dead is, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they sing. And then I looked them up, and I was like, this is not what I thought it was. Like musically, it was like the first time I heard Ghost, and I was like, based on how it was packaged to me and advertised, the sound musically was like, this is not what I thought the Grateful Dead was. It was something different.
Doobie Brothers is one of those that you're going to hear and go, oh yeah, I know that song.
I think the Doobie Brothers.
Okay, yeah.
The Doobie Brothers probably sound like what the Grateful Dead sound like, but not what I was expecting from the Grateful Dead.
No. There's no psychedelic. This is more like
classic
Chicago
70s rock
style.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, like, well, that's, whatever. Well, I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. But, okay. Grateful Dead. I was expecting something because of this, but I was like, this sounds like folky, like, poppy, classic rock. It's not what I thought it was at all, you know? But, okay.